Welcome back, Mando.
Greetings, Bucketheads. Mevar Tagar. Welcome to another special Bantha Tracks bonus episode of Mandovision. I am your host, Nargai Tom. Thank you so much for being here, checking out our small independent Star Wars podcast. We're so glad you're here. Reach out to us on the socials. We're at Mando_Vision on Twitter and Instagram. Mandovision at Blue Sky. Email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share the show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. All right, Bucketheads, we're back. I had planned for a bonus episode of the show this week. However, the content of said bonus episode has changed, as I was delighted to find a official teaser trailer for Season 2 of Andor. And a lot of information has come out about the structure of the show, how it's going to be released when it does happen. That being said, let's get into it. So strap on your buckets and let's go. We're not going to do a scene-by-scene grab of everything in the trailer, but we are going to kind of get into it a little bit as we go. But I will say I did really like its approach, the way that we sort of follow, that shot from the back of Andor as he's progressing through these different arcs that we're going to get. In case you're unfamiliar with the structure of this show, it's being broken down into 3 episode arcs, basically, that will be chapters over the course of 4 weeks. And each of these chapters will cover a year in the life of Cassian Andor leading up to the events of Rogue One. So the very last 3 episodes will be set mere days before the events of Rogue One happen. So that's why you see that shot of Cassian on Yavin 4 with the Massassi temples behind him. But we still have a lot of ground to cover. In the meantime, this trailer does spend a lot of time focusing on, potentially focusing on events that we think were foreshadowed in Season 1 and in other Star Wars content, specifically the Gorman Massacre, a driving force for Mon Mothma, and the formation of the actual Rebel Alliance, her calling Palpatine a tyrant, her stepping away from the Galactic Senate, and forming the official Rebel Alliance, the alliance to restore the Republic, basically. You've seen parts of that chronicled in Star Wars Rebels in Season 3, and that's something that we're looking forward to getting into, because the way things are going to play out, we should have Season 2 of Rebels, our Rebels Rewatch, finished before Season 2 of Andor, so that when we get to Season 3 of Rebels, Season 2 of Andor will have played, and we'll be able to sort of more deeply contextualize what they do, if, in fact, it is Gorman. Again, that's strongly suggested, strongly hinted at. They teased Gorman in Season 1 of Andor. And for those not sure, not aware, Gorman is a pivotal moment for Mon Mothma, for the burgeoning Rebel Alliance, for its legitimacy. It's sort of the moment that it all crystallizes for Mon Mothma that Palpatine must be stopped. And Gorman, for us old school fans, is something from the old expanded universe. It does have roots back in the old EU. I believe it was first mentioned in Michael Stackpole's X-Wing novel, the Kratos Trap, I believe. It might have been Back to War, one of them. And it was a massacre, but the timing of it was different. It was set more earlier in the Empire's rise, as opposed to right before the explosion of the rebellion. So good stuff. It seems like we're tying into like some key events. We're canonizing some important moments here for Star Wars. Looks like Tony Gilroy has got another just immense palette of story to tell here. and I'm really, really excited. I like the way the trailer plays out. I like the way it's shaped. I like that it doesn't give us too much. Again, it shows us just enough. It shows us like what we think is Gorman. It shows us a planet that very much could be Dantooine, and the formation of the Dantooine base that Princess Leia alludes to in Episode 4. It shows us just brief glimpses of Luthen Rael, of Bix, of Orson Krennic, and K2SO, familiar faces from Rogue One. So that's really, really a cool thing. I think the way this trailer works, it's very aesthetically different than the trailers that we got for season 1 of Andor, and that might be because it's time to like draw in the Star Wars fans that were reluctant to watch this show that was maybe visually not quote unquote Star Wars enough for them, because it was heavy, it was moody, it was atmospheric, it was dense to the layman. All right, this show looks like it's trying to grab more of the base, more of the Star Wars audience that maybe didn't catch the first season the first time around, or maybe got to it late. I think Andor is one of those shows that's grown since its original release a couple years ago. So it's pitting. I think it's pitting itself as more of an action show. It's showing us more of, hey, it's now Rebels versus Empire time. Let's go, and that's a really good thing. A very cool thing. One of the elements of the trailer that I thought was interesting was the bits we get to see with Mon Mothma, because again, the evolution of Mon is a really core element of this story, of this series. And as we lead up to Gorman, as we lead up to the moment where she's going to openly reject Palpatine, we see her at this party. It's what could be the wedding of her daughter to Davos Goldrun. We might be seeing Chandrilla for the first time. How neat would that be? First time in live action for Chandrilla. But we get to see almost like a whole new culture kind of explored a little bit with that festival wedding ceremony potentially that she's at. A lot of really good stuff. Again, quick flashes of Dedra Meero, quick flashes of Cyril Karn, quick flashes of K2SO and Brasso and Melshi. They tease enough. They give us a lot. We see Cassian in that TIE Avenger, which is very, very cool to see canonized. We get to see him blowing things up, and again, the hints that we're going to see the Gorman massacre, this very pivotal moment in the formation of the Rebel Alliance, is something to behold. Importantly, also, we get to see Saw Gerrera in this show, and his sort of role as we lead into the events of Rogue One is, has he come more to the Alliance's point of view, or is he still a partisan, like off on his own, doing his own things? Those X-Wings we see colored with his partisan patterns. And again, potentially on Dantooine, we see a dead body in the foreground. We don't know what that's all about. A traitor, a spy, who knows? But the show looks absolutely enthralling. I'm insanely captivated by what was seen in the trailer. And April 22nd can't get here fast enough, because I remember the emotional experience I had watching Andor Season 1, and the way that each episode came out every week, and it just turned the tension tighter. Every single week, I'm on the edge of my seat. I have like my fists clenched. I'm ripping the hair off of my head. And maybe this season's a little bit more action oriented, but the drama's going to be there. Like the character moments are going to be there. Like getting in these people's heads, understanding where they're coming from, what's going on, as the Empire steps up their efforts to squash the rebellions, to silence the people. And that's really what the Gorman Massacre is about. It's about a group of people. It's about a planet standing up to the Empire and being squashed for their efforts. And again, it's a rallying point. And assuming it is Gorman that we see in this season of the show, it is a big moment. It'll be something worth seeing crystallized, brought to life. Very excited by the potential for that. And then, is Cassian the one who helps Mon Mothma escape from Coruscant after she resigns from the Senate and denounces Palpatine. Like there's going to be a lot of like things that we can kind of weave Cassian into here as we get closer and closer to the time of Rogue One and A New Hope, just to kind of like bring things together here. Again, the trailer doesn't show us a lot for Deidre Romero. We don't really know what the ISB is up to. We don't really know a lot about those stormtrooper looking dudes that are just like in kind of like mod stormtrooper armor, but they're not helmeted, no buckets. So what's that all about? It'll be interesting to see if that's explored a little bit more fully. There are some troopers in the old lore that existed that way, but in the new canon, I don't think that's a thing yet. We'll see if that sticks around. There's the trailer shows us a lot, shows us familiar faces, but it shows us new situations, new dangers, and it's a really, really exciting trailer. I'm very excited for it, and I'm really interested in the way this show is being released, the structure of it. The 3 episodes a week for 4 weeks. Yes, it'll end in 4 weeks, and that's a bit soon. But thinking about it in terms of the show, I mean, we're basically getting like a Star Wars movie a week for 4 weeks. Hour and a half. We're assuming every episode is about an hour, roughly 2.5 hours. That's a movie. So we're getting basically a Star Wars movie every week for 4 weeks in April into May, and that sounds awesome to me. And again, I like the way it's being structured to cover a big chunk of time in Cassian's life with the rebellion, and how he sort of progresses from year to year as we get him to the events of Rogue One. I'm really excited about it. And I do like the idea that it does leave a little bit of room for future stories with Cassian and K2 and any of the other characters if they wanted to explore some stuff in other media. Because obviously the show's done after 2 seasons. They're not going to go back. They're not going to get back into that well. Tony Gilroy is going to hit the marks he wants to hit, and that's going to be that. And the show's going to be a wrap. But if we're skipping around the timeline, it does leave openings for comic books and novels and things like that to explore some other side adventures that Cassian might have that maybe aren't quite as cool as what we're probably going to see on the show. But again, that's what Star Wars. That was the fun of Star Wars back in the day was telling the stories that kind of filled in the gaps. And I think that's a possibility that we can move forward with Andor's release schedule here. So yeah, April 22nd, season 2, 3 episodes dropping at a time. I'll be honest, as a podcaster, it's going to be interesting on how I decide to break that down. I'm assuming I'm just going to review all 3 episodes at once, because I don't really know if I can break it down one at a time and do like 3 episodes in a week. That seems silly. I might as well just talk about them all at once. But we'll see how it goes. I will consider all options, and if anyone has any suggestions out there, by all means, let me know. But I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to kind of touch base on with this trailer. Again, very excited, very fired up. Again, the trailer, the tone of the trailer is so vastly different from the season 1 trailers and teasers. But I think that's by design. I think it's very intentional. And let's see if it brings more eyeballs to what I think is the finest of the Disney Plus Star Wars shows. Absolutely loved Andor season 1. Could not. It scratched all the issues I had for Star Wars storytelling. And I'm very optimistic that season 2 will do much of the same. So let's get this show a bigger audience. Let's get this show more eyeballs on it. Let them see these amazing performances. Let them witness these amazing Star Wars stories that are being told. Very excited, very fired for season 2 of Andor. And I think that's really all I have to say about it right now. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to be back here next week talking about Star Wars Rebels. But just so you know, like, we are getting fired up for season 2 of Andor. Like, this new trailer, yeah, I'm going to be watching this again a lot. Cannot wait. All right, let's go ahead and get out of here, Bucketheads. You know everything. Social media, follow us, Mando_Vision, Twitter, Instagram, Mandovision at Blue Sky. Email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. Like, subscribe, follow, share the show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. And if you can, sweet 5-star reviews. They'd help us out tremendously. All right, Bucketheads, we are going to get out of here. You know we're going to be back next week, though. Get ready. Star Wars Rebels rewatches continue. We're going to get those lined up, knocked out, and we'll be ready and waiting for Season 2 of Andor. But in the meantime, remember, this podcast, it only ends one way. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
I find that answer vague and unconvincing.